Good morning, everybody. As part of the Thursday series, let me welcome you all to yet another thought-provoking area, which is being presented today by one of our own scholars. In recent years, we have seen how Japan and India have come closer in terms of cooperation, and they are only moving forward in the positive direction. And there are many controls that are developing and are still to develop. Today's speaker, Dr. Ulupi, will dwell on these issues and enlighten all of us to tell us what are the present trajectories and what we plan to expect in the days to come. But before I hand over the stage to her, let me introduce you all to her. Dr. Ulupi is a senior fellow with Cenjows. She has a Ph.D. on from Jawaharlal University, and she has examined Japan's strategies in the South China Sea as her topic of study. Before joining Cenjows, she was an associate professor with the Rashtriya Raksha University, where she was teaching subjects like regional security, human security, and peacekeeping operations. As she has many accolades, some of which include the first Indian to secure the Japan Student Service Organization Scholarship, the United States Mission to the United Nations Scholarship, a special research student at the University of Japan. She has authored numerous articles, and some of them you can find up in the writings of them and economic policy. She happens to be the co-editor of our own journal, Synergy, and has the distinction of having a foundational knowledge of the language of Japanese, the Japanese language, which helps her to understand the area and the country much better. I hand over the floor to Dr. Ulupi.
Thank you, sir, for this lovely introduction. And before that, I would also like to thank our DG, Ashok, for giving me this opportunity. Could you share this? So, I'll be speaking on India-Japan strategic cooperation and the future contours today. This is an overview of what I have in my slides. First of all, the introduction. Then I speak on defense technology cooperation, defense agencies cooperation, the deals, collaboration in advanced technologies, space collaboration, maritime cooperation, what is the framework, Asia-Africa growth corridor, and a comprehensive insight analyzing all the slides. And at the end, I'll give a short conclusion. So starting with my topic, I would like to give a small background on what Japan is shifting, what kind of a change it is going through in its security policies. So if there is any country which has been undergoing immense shifts in its security policy in the last 1.5 decade or two, we cannot think of anyone than Japan. So Japan always followed the defensive defense system, but however, now it is shifting from the defensive defense system to an offensive one. And why is it doing? I'll definitely go through my presentation. Now, Japan has always followed the Pacific Constitution, and this Pacific Constitution has an Article 9, which renounces war. But especially with the when Shinzo Abe, the former Prime Minister, came into power in the second tenure, he initiated the reinterpretation of Article 9. Reinterpretation of Article 9 means enhancing the role of the Japanese self-defense forces. With the reinterpretation of Article 9 comes the security legislation in the year 2015, which encourages pro-contribution to peace and right to collective self-defense. That means Japan is going to participate in peacekeeping operations also. Initially, it was mostly involved with the logistics, but now it wants to play a more active role. Then comes the Defense Acquisition Agency and the Acquisition Technology and Logistics Agency, which is ATLA. ATLA is mostly with the procurement of defense equipment technology. It also emphasizes on advanced defense technology, research and development, dual-use technology. Now it is no longer a taboo or any hesitancy for Japan to supply its arms and military technologies to the countries which is considered as friendly. Now, Japan has been a country, despite having an advanced technology, since the Cold War in the 80s, in the 90s, starting from 70s actually, it was quite reluctant in transferring its arms to other countries. And it categorized those countries, especially countries belonging to the communist bloc or countries which have the capability to disrupt the international peace and stability. Now I'll discuss what are these three principles in the later slides. So let's discuss a little bit about, give a short background on India, what is today India is. So we believe in strategic autonomy today and multi-alignment to an extent. Strategic autonomy, I would mean that we definitely want an independent foreign policy, and we do not seek for any kind of alliance with any bloc. But then at the same time, we believe in inclusivity. We also want to engage with multiple global partners, and we want to safeguard our national interests. So this approach allows India to navigate complex international dynamics effectively, where India being a part of Quad be taken as an account. At the same time, India is also trying to enhance its defense modernization. That means India is going to a level of transformation which can be seen restructuring military command, revitalizing the defense industries, etc. And we are also at the same time trying to enhance our defense budget. Like the year fiscal year 2024 to 2025, the government of India has allocated approximately $75 billion to the Ministry of Defense. Another thing which I would like to add is India is also trying to strengthen its international defense collaboration. Of course, under this comes collaboration with a country like Japan, apart from its other foreign nations, foreign friends. Then I would also focus on the dual-use technologies which are used by both the civilian and the military. The India-Japan cooperation, now if we talk about, it spans in various spheres. First of all, they have certain shared values in the region Indo-Pacific. Both the countries aspire for stability, for peace. They do not want any kind of disruption, especially when we talk about the maritime domain or the sea lanes of communication. And hence, they have encouraged high-level dialogues, defense agreements, joint economic initiatives, collaboration in advanced technology, and maritime security. Now, I'll start with defense cooperation. So, a strategic and global partnership. Year 2014, they decided to convert this strategic partnership into a strategic global partnership, and where they focus on transferring and collaborating on defense equipment and technology. Then annual summit, cybersecurity, peaceful Indo-Pacific. Then in the year 2014, after, as I have mentioned in the first, the reinterpretation of the security legislation, with these three principles on transfer of defense technology and equipment. As I mentioned that initially during the Cold War, Japan supplying its arms to other countries. Under when Cenjows became he actually wanted to in this sphere. So how does it help India in that? First of all, India can aspire to have access to advanced technology. This transfer of defense technology, which is one of the aspects which we do not see between India and Japan. Defense manufacturing. Now that with Make in India initiative, India definitely wants to enhance its indigenously built defense equipment and then manufacturing defense items domestically. It can reduce its dependency on foreign. So if we collaborate with Japan, we do not say we will purchase it or they will sell it to us, but we can collaborate to develop. Then in 2015, India-Japan agreement concerning the transfer of defense equipment and technology came into being. So they this agreement is significant. Like to read up on Article 1 and Article 1 clearly mentions that yes, we do want to collaborate in defense and technology collaboration. Second is a joint committee has been formed to encourage joint projects, especially in terms of research and development. Then, of course, the main motive is to contribute to international peace and security collectively. Under this, in the year 2016, Prime Minister Modi and leader Shinzo Abe initiated a deal to procure, India would procure this US-2 amphibious aircraft. But eventually it was stalled, and I will later in my slides I will discuss why it stalled. And next is acquisition and cross-sectional agreement AXA came in 2020. This is mostly between collaboration between the Indian Armed Forces and the Japanese Self-Defense Forces. This is to strengthen their collaboration, especially during joint exercises, disaster relief operations, and peacekeeping missions. Collaboration between defense agencies. So now I have mentioned in the slide what is ATLA. ATLA is like mostly into acquiring and procuring defense equipment. So Japan has ATLA and India has Department of Defense Production. So these two agencies are also trying to collaborate now. It is very recent actually. And mostly they are trying to improve, collaborate between the governments, Japanese government and Indian government, especially in the defense sector. And they also aspire to promote equipment collaboration. Well-use innovation is one of that. They have already launched a project which is known as cooperative research in the area of unmanned ground vehicle, UGVs and robotics in the year 2018. ATLA and DRDO have also collaborated. Two projects are they are into mapping and navigation system. That is visual simultaneous localization and mapping, SLAM, global navigation satellite system, GNSS, augmentation technology. Now the deals. As I had already mentioned, that the Shinmera class of US-2 amphibious aircraft, which Prime Minister Modi and Shinzo Abe initiated, but somehow it could not happen. It wasn't a success. Now, why? There are several reasons to it. First of all, is the high cost. So the cost of US-2 aircraft was a major concern because initially India anticipated that the price wouldn't be that much, but later realized that it was very costly. So India tried to negotiate, but eventually it was little challenging for India to get the deal done. Second is Making India initiative. The India wanted Making India under it, India wanted to manufacture it domestically, kind of a joint collaboration it would have been. But Japan was not quite okay with it, and it was also again challenging for India, and that was one of the reasons which led to the cancellation of this deal. Then export regulations. Now we are talking about Japan's three principles on transfer of technology and defense equipment. But how long Japan has come in this part of the export regulations? Its export regulations policies are still evolving. Although it has passed these agreements and principles, but its bureaucratic and regulatory framework are still in a complex state. So this is one of the aspects which India found it challenging. The long procedure. So when we try to procure a particular equipment, I'm not an expert in that, but to my understanding, there are several stages from RFI, request for information, to acceptance, AON, acceptance of necessity, where there is a committee formed, they scrutinize, then bidders are there, they bid, they send quotation. So this is a whole long process, and sometimes this whole process can take a year, 2 years, 3 years, or sometimes close to a decade. So this thing happened here in this deal also. It was a very long procedure, it became never ending. Then slow procurement is also one of the reasons. It is very slow sometimes. Documentation and everything take time. Then strict compliance and documentation requirements. So both the parties are also quite meticulous about the documentation, especially to prevent corruption and ensure transparency. And this is also one of the reasons. So basically, I have given 4 or 5 points to my understanding after consulting with both Japanese side and the Indian side. Now, another initiation was from Indian Navy to acquire the ultra-quiet Soria class submarines. This Indian Navy sought for RFI again, request for information to Mitsubishi and Kawasaki, the Japanese defense companies. However, they could not come up with those RFIs. And later on, it became a very lengthy process, and this also could not be a success. Now, the most recent one, which we will be discussing about, is Unified Complex Radio Antenna, stealth technologies, HIGA. And this is mostly to enhance the maritime domain awareness. Now, what is MDA, I will discuss it later. But to come up with unicorn, Japan is mostly known globally for its stealth technology. And now India is also trying to acquire these technologies in its defense equipment. But this process, however, acquiring unicorn is not a recent one. We have been trying it for the last 2-3 years. Now, eventually, on 15th of November 2024, a memorandum of implementation has come up, in between the government of India and Japan. And under this, actually, this is very important because this is something like first ever the co-development and co-production is happening in the defense equipment sector between India and Japan. And of course, it is expected that it would enhance the capabilities, especially in terms of warships, submarines, and associated systems. And with the Indian partner here, it is Bharat Electronics Limited. And from Japanese side, there will be Japanese defense experts who will guide us in this technology. Now, ATLA initiates cooperation with the Indian companies also. It is now not government to government only. They are trying to approach our companies. So, Mazagaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited has hosted them already in 2024. And now they are discussing that they will collaborate in terms of undersea platforms, robotics, and also, yeah, and related to any security concern in the Indo-Pacific Indian Ocean region, this remains a significant concern. Now, 2.2 foreign and defense ministerial meeting recently happened in 2024. There also they discussed about underwater surveillance system, and they believe that there is a lot of underwater threat, and to protect them, robust system is required. Therefore, underwater surveillance system is important for both the countries. And China also remains a major concern considering its expansionist behavior in the Indian Ocean. Now, India, under its Atmanirbharta and Make in India initiative today, it is trying to develop or create its fifth generation aircraft, which is known as Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. So it's obviously requires advanced technology, especially stealth technology. It has double engines. And the parties involved are ATA, Shell, DRDO, Bell, and of course, the development of it is not just sufficient with these parties. To acquire those advanced technologies, India seeks for foreign partners as well. So, question is, can Japan be that foreign partner? If Japan, then why? Firstly, of course, Japan it has advanced research in terms of engines. Like I mentioned already, it has expertise in stealth technology also. And Japan is also known for its Mitsubishi X2 Shinshin. It is a special aircraft which has been developed by Japan indigenously, and it has advanced stealth technology. So Japan has those capabilities. That's why probably Japan could be a collaborator. And at the same time, Japan is also now trying to develop its sixth generation fighter jet, which is known as FX. But that it is doing with collaboration with Italy and UK. It is a part of the Global Combat Program, GCAP. But somehow, while discussing with the Japanese expert, like how it is going, they believe that this has been a very challenging process for Japan. And they say that the huge budget is actually, Japan is not quite okay with that. And it is a very complex system. So a question arises, would Japan like to collaborate with India in this aspect? Maybe or maybe not, but what have we got to offer? What has India got to offer? Maybe we may not procure it from Japan, but then we can initiate co-development and co-production in these technologies. Second thing is that now under Modi, Prime Minister Modi, the Modi administration has initiated a very strong political will to enhance the defense sector. So this is a very good thing. We are welcoming this also to enhance this sector. And India already has an enhanced technological capabilities. We can take the example of Tejas Mark 1 program, which has been a success, and Tejas Mark 2 is still under process. So these are critical part of India's indigenous defense efforts under Atmanirbhar Bharat. Like India has a pool of trained young manpower. We have well-trained engineers, scientists, mostly in the field of aerospace, electronics, and mechanical engineering. Last is a huge market for high-end technology. Also, we have, and the Indian government has allowed 74% FDI in defense sector through automatic route and 100% in strategic cases. Now, I would like to discuss a little bit about India-Japan collaboration in advanced technology. First, I will talk about semiconductors, which is very significant, and a lot of initiatives have been taken by both the countries. So, India-Japan science and technology cooperation is not something new. It was there since 1980s, 1985. Now, in July 2023, a memorandum of cooperation was signed between METI of India and METI of Japan on the supply chain partnership for semiconductors. Now, this is mostly based on the already existing India-Japan digital partnership, which came into being in 2018 under the initiative under the Prime Minister Modi commenced this. Also, India-Japan Industrial Competitive Partnership came into being. So, based on these two agreements, the MOC was signed. Now, let's go back a little bit to understand why Japan. Japan has a history of semiconductors. It held 50% of the global market in terms of semiconductor in 1980s, especially producing something called RAMs, dynamic random access memory. But however, it took over the globe with its semiconductor equipments, semiconductor components. So US towards 90s had put trade sanctions, and this eventually slowed down Japan's development or Japan's market in the world. Now, while talking about India, India Semiconductor Mission also came into being in 2021. But before that, it is not that India just started in 2021. We can go back to actually Nehru days also, where some level of collaboration India was looking for with the US. But then after that, in 80s, we can see during Rajiv Gandhi era, where he developed the Semiconductor Complex Limited. But however, towards the end of 1980s, the complex was caught by fire and nothing much could have happened. In 2007, the first policy for semiconductor came into being, but again, nothing much was observed. Only 2015, when Prime Minister Modi came into power, this sector received some kind of significance. And then we came up with the semiconductor mission, which allotted budget of $10 billion to this sector. And now we want to boost in ATMPs. ATMPs is like assembly, testing, marking, packaging. Now, so far, India hasn't done much in terms of design and manufacturing, but we are trying to. Now, for that, we need stronger collaboration with foreign partners, and thus India believes that Japan could be one of them. Now, Japan has already promised to invest $35.9 billion in the supply chain of semiconductors by 2027. And Japanese companies, Japanese companies interested are Rapidus Corporation, Denso, Kyoshia, and Horiba Group has already started initiating its investment in Nagpur in Maharashtra. Now, this path here of collaboration is not going to be that easy. There are certain roadblocks. First of all, if I talk about the US, South Korea, and Taiwan, we see that they cater more to us in semiconductor sector than Japan is. US already we have a US-India initiative on critical and emerging technology, I said. Then Micron, this American company, has already invested $2.5 billion in Gujarat. Then South Korea also, the Southern company Simtech has invested in Gujarat. Taiwanese company TSMC has already collaborated with Tata. And in May 2024, India-Taiwan Semiconductor Forum also took place. But where is Japan in that case? Again, on the other hand, if we see, Tokyo is also quite reliant on designs. Tokyo may be good in, Japan may be good in semiconductor manufacturing and product equipments, but it is not that, it's lagging behind in terms of designs and ideas. So on that, it is reliant too much on American company, IBM. So this Japanese company has already collaborated with the American multinational company IBM. And on the other hand, it's TSMC, the Taiwanese company, which has already invested billions of dollars in the Kumamoto prefecture of Japan. At least $20 billion. Then South Korean company Samsung has also collaborated with Japan. So in that case, where is India? Of course, we are lagging behind. We don't have that kind of design, or we don't have that kind of manufacturing capabilities, which would enhance the collaboration between the two countries. And there is lack of integration in supply chain. So what Japan is doing now, Japan is trying to create an industrial district in Kyushu. That means its local companies will, semiconductor companies will develop certain kind of semiconductor components, which will be provided to the parts to TSMC in Kumamoto. So certain level of supply chain integration has already happened between Taiwan and Japan. But this kind of integration is not seen between India and Japan. Then lack of collaboration at university level. If we see, then there is a research and development which is being encouraged by the universities, especially Hiroshima University, and they have collaborated with US. So this is something called Upwards, which is known as US-Japan University Partnership for Workforce Advancement and Research and Development in Semiconductors. And although India's IIT in Hyderabad is trying to collaborate with the Renesas Electronics Corporation, but the level of success or the growth is stalled. Nothing much has been happening. Nothing much has been seen on that aspect. Now, no political compulsion. So what is the political compulsion that Japan has with Taiwan that, you know, is enhancing their collaboration in terms of semiconductor in the semiconductor sector? So we talk about the Senkaku Island dispute, and we only talk about China and Japan and the escalation of tension between these two countries and the ramifications for the US. But Taiwan is actually the claimant to that dispute. But Taiwan's voice is not heard that much, probably because of its diplomatic isolation. Therefore, to maintain that, the level of strategic and economic interests have to be balanced between both the countries, that is Taiwan and Japan. And US definitely wants it to happen, because any kind of tension will again have a ramification for the US. And that is one of the things, like we see that Taiwan has now invested, TSMC has invested in Kumamoto. So any country which has invested in another country will definitely want to have a symbiotic relationship. Nobody will want to have develop a conflict or a tension in their country. So this is one of the reasons this Senkaku issue is also a political compulsion for Taiwan and Japan to collaborate among various other sectors. But with India and Japan, we don't have any political compulsion as such, and there is no third party like the US to commence the growth of a sector like semiconductor.
Change slide.
Now, what do we focus on then? Of course, we have to focus on the joint ventures in semiconductor material and production equipment, as I have mentioned. So semiconductor material, Japan still contributes 50% share to the global market and 32% semiconductor production equipment to the global market. This is one area where India can actually focus on, and where both the countries can initiate joint ventures in semiconductor manufacturing facilities. Second is opportunities for collaboration in transfer of technology. Now, Japan has technologies like the photoresist coating, which is very much required in advanced semiconductor production. And Japan contributes 25% to the global market in terms of photoresist coating. So this is another field where probably India and Japan can collaborate. And as a part of transfer of technology, this could be initiated. Academic and research collaborations. As I have already mentioned, that US and Japan, Hiroshima University, they have collaboration, something like Upwards. We should also initiate and involve the universities or the academic institutions, and especially in terms of design physics and process technology. Of course, IITs or other engineering institutions can show interest in this aspect. At last, we can also leverage this free and open Indo-Pacific framework. Now, India is an active partner of FOIP, which is a Japanese initiative. Now, the future new plan for FOIP came into being last year, 2023. 2023. Then this new FOIP plan has several pillars. Out of that, the third and the fourth pillar talks about advanced technology. And advanced technology, of course, semiconductor is the backbone of advanced technology. And therefore, I think this is one of the best framework or the best platform where India can utilize to collaborate in this semiconductor sector with Japan. Now, other advanced technologies, apart from semiconductors, would be artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. Already a memorandum of cooperation has been signed in 2018, and our Department of Science and Technology of India and METI of Japan, they have already initiated certain joint research. Both the countries are partners in global AI initiative. Although we are still at the budding stage in these sectors, but eventually we believe that we collaborate and we will strengthen our relationship in these advanced technologies. Now, I would like to talk a little bit on India-Japan space collaboration. So ISRO and JAXA are already collaborating. And this collaboration already started in 1960s. It is not something new. And Japan has initiated something called Asia-Pacific. Asia-Pacific Regional Space Agency Forum, which mostly deals with space activities and space technologies in the Asian region. So India has already joined this ever since it came into being in 1993. Then in 2016, the Memorandum of Understanding was signed between the two countries to explore outer space. In 2019, the Japan-India Space Dialogue also came into being. Now, their main focus is now on space policies. Space policies would include space assets, space industries, global navigation satellite system, and lunar exploration. Now, in the Quad Summit 2023 in Hiroshima, the Quad members, which includes Japan and India, they focus on commercial space cooperation, space situational awareness, information sharing, especially in terms of climate change. Other aspects which are included are enhance the supply chain, the space traffic management are also certain aspects which India and Japan want to work on. Now, however, they have certain challenges. So these challenges come from the Japanese side also at the same time. So as per Japanese consultant who has been working on this aspect mentions that first challenge they face is linguistic and cultural barriers. Second is the COVID-19 pandemic happened and it has impacted the space diplomacy and scientific development mostly due to travel restrictions. Most of the projects which were initiated in the year maybe 2019-2018 could not happen or they stalled mostly because of travel restrictions. Then another challenge is limited collaboration between space professionals. So as part of the Japanese side, they believe that India has space professionals. India has people who have expertise in this sector. India considering India to be a technological giant, but not that kind of collaboration has been happening between the professionals from both the countries. So that needs to be taken care of. The limited collaborative projects. So India and Japan already have signed comprehensive partnership. Based on that, we could have had long-term plans, or we could have had at least 5-year plans, 10-year plans. Look at Japan and US; they have those kind of long-term plans. But with India, we do not have that with Japan. So this is also one of the issues which should be taken into account. Japan also mentions that forget about US. When in Southeast Asian countries, like a country like Thailand, they have collaborative projects, and they mentioned that both the countries have to be on an equal footing when it comes to cash or funding. So it is not that only India is funding or only Japan is funding. This, in terms of this, they should be on an equal footing, including transfer of information, geospatial information. So these are the things which is lacking between India and Japan. Now, complex RFI and RFP, which I have already mentioned previously, request for information, request for proposal. We have a little complex process, which is a little longer, or which case it is slow. So this process is also slow down the collaboration. However, as per the Japanese expert, he believes that the Japanese side, the RFI and RFP is a little more straightforward, a little less complex compared to India. Now, a few recommendations how to deal with it. The harnessing complementary strength, India and Japan's role in Quad space collaboration. Now, both are Quad members and both have their own strength. Japan is good in manufacturing small space aircraft. Its Hayabusa mission is also known to all, and India's Chandrayaan mission is also known to all. But Japan now, in the recent times, is going to the level of limited economic restrictions it is having. But at the same time, India is growing and its GDP is today the fifth largest, and soon we are going to be the third largest in the world. And also we have technologically we are advancing. So what we could do is we could combine our forces together for further space exploration activities. Enhance participation in space conferences from both the sides. Yeah, so this is another aspect. India has, we ourselves have been part of certain space conferences, space events, which are excellent, where we get good exposure, where excellent speakers come and speak. The kind of a crowd, we hardly see any Japanese young researcher or a young academician who's interested in this kind of, in this sector. We do not see that. And same is the case with Japan. As per the Japanese counterpart, they do not see any Indian young minds participating in this kind of conferences or events, except for those official designated, officials who are a part of those events. So this could be taken care of. A lack of full-fledged or a long-term plan, a comprehensive partnership, which I have already mentioned, which they have with the US, a long-term plan like 5-year or 10-year. We do not have that. We should focus on that also. Enhance collaboration between space industries and government. Yes, we should do that. Quad as a framework, how do we use Quad in this sector? Mostly, probably we could use it for norm settings, rule makings, ensure transparency, non-proliferation, peaceful use of the outer space. And then maritime cooperation, of course, yes. India is, of course, we cannot consider India to be a continental country, but we also have a maritime focus now. We are also focusing towards our seas in the Indian Ocean, and at the same time, Japan is also a maritime nation, because a huge percent of the economy traverses through these sea lanes of communication. So any kind of instability in these locks could have an adverse impact on our economy. So both the countries, they prefer a rule-based order in the seas. Free and open Indo-Pacific, of course, which promotes the rule of law, abiding by the international laws. Freedom of navigation, both India and Japan support. Economic prosperity in terms of infrastructure development and an open market. And yes, peace and stability. Now, both the countries are also now today discussing about maritime domain awareness. So what is MDA? MDA is actually effective understanding of the activities or the events and the conditions in the maritime domain. And this mostly involves gathering information, sharing data, enabling military decisions. Now, the Quad summit in Hiroshima 2023, Quad launched the Indo-Pacific Maritime Domain Awareness. And in the recent 2024 Quad Foreign Ministerial meeting, it is extended towards the Indian Ocean region also. So, of course, Indian Navy has developed this IFC IOR in Gurugram in India, and Japan also has MDA situational indication linkages. So both these fusion centers are also trying to collaborate to an extent, especially in terms of data sharing and joint venture in developing surveillance technologies. The joint statement highlights of the 2+2 dialogue, which happened in August 2024. A joint statement came into being recently. So as part of this joint statement, these two countries both will cooperate in terms of ship maintenance cooperation. especially Japanese MSDF operations in the Indian Ocean. The Japan has initiated certain anti-piracy deployment in the Somalian waters. So considering the distance, and if there is kind of any kind of repairment required for ships, so that it would want to seek help from India. So something based on that this joint statement was signed. Second concern was China, of course. It has been seen that China has built at least 148 naval ships in a decade, which is equal to the entire fleet of India and Japan. So this remains a concern. Then the two coast guards of India and Japan are also trying to promote cooperation, and they have already signed an MOC. So mostly to ensure maritime safety, maritime security, protect marine environment, etc. It's not working.
Yes, okay.
Now, India-Japan cooperation in Bay of Bengal. Bay of Bengal is very critical for global trade, and especially the Indian Ocean region. So it is the hub for global trade and logistics at the same time. So what we can compare probably Bay of Bengal in Indian Ocean region is similar to the South China Sea in East Asia. Like they have the most significant lanes of communication slots, as I mentioned. Now, India, Japan, there was a joint naval exercise in 2022 where Indian Navy's naval ship Shivalik and Padma participated along with JMSDS Uraga and Hirado in 2022. They have also collaborated in infrastructure development, LNG infrastructure in Sri Lanka, pipelines and electrification in Myanmar, road networks in Bangladesh, and also supported, this is supported by Japan's International Cooperation Agency, JICA.
Just change the slide, please.
Now, Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative also, where some level of cooperation has been seen between the two countries. So IPOI could be equivalent to Japan's Free and Open Indo-Pacific. IPOI has 7 pillars, which talks about maritime security, then talks about technology also to an extent, then maritime ecology. But the 7th pillar is trade connectivity and maritime transport, of which Japan is leading along with the US. Here they talk about focus on logistics, expertise, infrastructure project. And under IPOI, Japan has actually tried to invest towards the northeastern part of India as a part of India-Japan Actis Forum. And some kind of investment has been seen in the ports in Bangladesh also, Motorbari port. So yeah, this kind of developments have been seen. Then the Malabar exercise, yes, Milan exercise, Japan-India maritime exercise. These are also areas where both India and Japan has collaborated. No, next please. Yeah. No. Yeah. So, but however, there have been certain roadblocks faced by New Delhi and Tokyo both. We do not have that kind of transfer of technology happening between the two countries. There is a lack of GNP happening, and this is mostly due to concern over misuse and legal hurdles. So it has slowed down the process to India. Second thing is Japan is mostly dependent on US for its military hardware, and it becomes difficult without US permission to hand over military hardware to a third country. Then regional focus. Of course, India's focus is on Indian Ocean region. Japan's focus is on East China Sea and South China Sea. This is mostly considering our national interest, where our focus should be. Then infrastructure gaps do exist. Despite Japan's technological advancement, India still faces capacity and logistical challenges. And this infrastructure gap is mostly between, if we go back to the cash flow, there is shortage of funding. So that is why it has not been able to happen at the pace it should have happened. A collaboration between air forces. Last year, exercise V Guardian 2023 happened in between Indian Air Force and Japan's air defense forces. And from our side, it was Su-30 Mk1 fighter jets which participated, and from their side, it was F-15 and F-2 fighters which participated. Apart from that, the two air forces are trying to co-develop in terms of airborne systems and radar technologies they are trying to work on. And UAS, and surveillance technologies also. Both India and Japan also participate in pitch black exercise, which is hosted by Australia. Recently, it happened, I think, in July 2024, where both the countries have participated. Now, Quad is a framework. Both India and Japan are members of Quad. And of course, India is very clear about the fact that Quad is not a military alliance or it is not targeted against any country. For India, we believe in freedom, democracy, rule-based order in Indo-Pacific. And also through Quad, India tries to promote connectivity, technology, climate change, and so does Japan also support these aspects. We consider it as a platform for enhancing multilateral cooperation also, technological and innovative initiatives. So in the year 2021, we see that the supply chain resilience initiative came into being. This is mostly to reduce its dependence on one particular country, and we wanted to diverse the supply sources. One country basically to reduce our dependency on China. So, but so far, I am not sure how far we have been successful in such an initiative. A focus on 5G, 6G, AI, semiconductors, cybersecurity, or other aspects. Focus on infrastructure development. Measuring the success. Now, how far we have been able to achieve in the Quad collaboration. Like now, I have mentioned about supply chain resilience initiative. I'm not sure if we could do it overnight. We are still reliant on Chinese manufacturing, and probably it will take time. But since we have started, we are hopeful about it. Now, in different trajectories in terms of cutting-edge technologies like semiconductors and AI, yes, Japan is in a different trajectory, India is in a different trajectory, or US and Australia, all in different trajectories. Say like Japan is known for its manufacturing, US is known for its design, then India may be for its skilled manpower. But since we are all in different trajectories, how do we come to the same thing, or how do we come to the same platform? How do we collaborate? So this is one of the aspects which should be looked into in terms of collaboration in advanced technologies. A difficulty in seamless data sharing, yes, of course, not enough data sharing or has happened between India's IOR and Japan's NSL systems. Now, India's resource constraints hinder rapid scaling of defense and technology projects. And yes, this point has already been discussed. India focuses on the IOR, Japan focuses on East and South China Sea. Now I'll talk a little bit about Asia-Africa growth corridor. So this is again a joint collaboration between India and Japan, and it is mostly seen as an alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative, where we focus on inclusive development. We try to address infrastructural gaps in Africa, and we try to tap into the economic potential, promoting agriculture, food security, job creation, etc. We are also trying, both the countries also try to connect African countries with the South Asian countries and Southeast Asian countries. It is mostly business to business initiative. But the question is how far they have come up. It's already been 6-7 years of the coming up of Asia-Africa Growth Corridor. But we don't know how successful this initiative has been. There are certain challenges, of course, funding issues are there that has been already discussed. Cash crunch is there, then this has definitely slowed down the process because infrastructure development is one of the significant objectives of this initiative. So with funding issues, those kind of developments can definitely not happen. Execution delays are happening. Yes, plans are there, goals are there, but execution is not being able to happen. And of course, again, funding issue could be a reason to it. Now I would like to wrap up the whole discussion in one slide. So since we have seen that India, Japan is not that we haven't tried, we are trying. Some of our goals, some of our deals are under development in process. Some have stalled, some did not work out, some are working out. So to deal with this, it does not mean that we cannot initiate. We have a lot of potential. So what are the aspects we need to look into? First of all is enhance finance mechanisms. Yes, the finance part I have mentioned several times, lack of cash flow and everything is there. So both the countries have to be on an equal footing in terms of investment. Second thing is India and Japan could consider creating groupings. This is my analysis. Personally, I believe that in terms of developing advanced technology, defense technology, like something like GCAP, which is happening in terms of development of sixth generation aircraft. Maybe we can have a grouping like that, not for sixth generation aircraft, but maybe in development of submarines, maybe in development of undersea platforms, something like that. This will definitely help us to access advanced technology and expertise. Cost sharing will also happen. And then expand defense industrial cooperation under the Quad framework. So the Quad countries at least should try to cooperate and co-develop and co-produce advanced defense technologies, and through ensuring resilient supply chain. In that way, we can share expertise in cybersecurity, unmanned system, and maritime security. Diversify our import partners. Like for example, the Indian defense industries should be more active in introducing advanced defense technologies, not only from the US, France, Russia, Israel, but we should also consider Japan as a partner now. And same goes with Japan. Japan should not only be reliant in terms of defense technology on US, but should also diversify. Obviously, it has diversified partners, but India could also be one of them. And at last, I would conclude by saying that a lot of potential we have to collaborate. So these collaborative efforts could be in field of economic growth, infrastructure, development of advanced technology, etc. Now, partnerships in advanced technologies, semiconductor, digital technology could actually strengthen our role as global innovation leaders. The last point is enhanced coordination using a platform like Quad. We can unlock untapped opportunities, ensuring sustainable and impactful collaboration.